We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
More attempted terrorist attacks, positive economic news, impeachment inquiry moves forward, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. Authorities in Denmark, Germany, and the Netherlands on Thursday arrested 7 people, including 4 suspected Hamas members, on suspicion of plotting terrorist attacks on Jewish institutions across Europe. 3 of the suspects were detained in Berlin, while 1 was arrested in the Netherlands. The 4 suspected Hamas members have close ties to the leadership of the Palestinian Islamist terrorist group's military branch, according to German prosecutors. The arrests came as Israeli forces battle Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The attempted attack on European targets highlights the fact that Hamas wants to eradicate the Jewish people and that their attacks have nothing to do with any perceived oppression of the Palestinian people. A recently released Hamas hostage's revelation of sexual violence against her fellow captive appears to refute anti-Israel progressives who tend to downplay or dismiss terrorist atrocities. Chen Goldstein Almag, age 48, was held hostage by Hamas with 3 of her children for 51 days following the Palestinian terrorist group's October 7th attack. Her husband and eldest daughter were murdered by Palestinian terrorists during the attack. Goldstein Almag and her children were released by the terror group, and the wife and mother gave an interview with the Israeli press on December 11th about her time as a hostage. During her interview, Goldstein Almag revealed she heard first-hand accounts of sexual violence from other female hostages by their Hamas captors. I heard the testimony directly from girls and heard things secondhand, Goldstein Almag said. Some of the sexual violence happened well into our time in Gaza, not in the first week. But the way their bodies were desecrated, they don't know how they will deal with that. It happened weeks into their time in Gaza, she said. Liberal groups have downplayed the stories of sexual assault. The House of Representatives on Wednesday approved a formal impeachment inquiry against President Joe Biden. Republican lawmakers rallied behind the investigation. Biden called the House GOP inquiry a baseless political stunt, despite whistleblowers, bank records, and Hunter Biden's former business partners providing significant evidence to the contrary. Hunter Biden defied a House subpoena for a closed-door deposition, saying at a surprise appearance outside the Capitol that he would only testify publicly. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer accused Hunter Biden of trying to hide his influence-peddling schemes. During congressional inquiries, it is standard procedure for a closed-door deposition to precede any open testimony. The Senate on Wednesday passed an $886 billion annual defense spending plan, which includes aid for Ukraine and annual raises for the military. The bipartisan 87-13 vote came amid a push to authorize spending on Pentagon priorities before the end of the year. The House on Thursday passed the annual defense authorization bill in a 310-118 vote. President Joe Biden is expected to sign it into law. The sprawling legislation includes a 5.2% pay raise for military personnel. It also extends the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative used by the Biden administration to help Ukraine fight off Russia's invasion. The Federal Reserve ended its last policy meeting of 2023 on Wednesday by keeping interest rates unchanged as expected and boosted markets by projecting 3 rate cuts next year. The Fed has aggressively raised rates to slow the economy and bring down stubbornly high inflation. Recent signs that inflation is cooling have fueled hopes that the central bank will bring inflation down to its 2% target without triggering a recession. Although currently economists give it a 50% chance that the U.S. will go into recession. Fed Chair Jerome Powell said after the meeting that the Fed's historic tightening of monetary policy is probably over now that inflation is coming down faster than anticipated and the time for reducing borrowing costs is coming into view. Gasoline prices have fallen to their lowest level this year, according to AAA. The national average price for a gallon of gas as of Tuesday was $3.13, down 9 cents from last week's average. The decline has come as oil prices struggle to stay above $70 per barrel, according to USA Today. OPEC Plus earlier this month approved production cuts of about 2 million barrels a day in a bid to boost prices. More than half of all U.S. fuel locations have gasoline before $3 per gallon, according to AAA. By the end of the year, the national average may dip that low as well. Despite this drop, gas prices are still significantly higher than when Biden took office in January 2021. In more economic news, the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage fell to 6.95% from 7.03% last week. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac said on Thursday. The decline, announced a day after the Fed Reserve said it might cut interest rates 3 times next year, now that inflation is cooling, marked the first time since August that long-term mortgage rates dropped under 7%. Also, retail sales rebounded in November after falling in October, according to the Commerce Department. Sales rose 0.3% in November compared to the previous month, adjusted for seasonal swings, but not inflation. Economists had been expecting an increase of just 0.2%. Boston's Democratic mayor has come under fire after she sent out invitations for a holiday party intended only for minority city councilors. Michelle Wu, the city's first Asian American mayor, recently had her aide Denise DeSantos send out an email for the event. Honorable members, on behalf of Mayor Michelle Wu, I cordially invite you and a guest to the Electeds of Color holiday party, the email said, according to the Boston Herald. The city leader quickly drew criticism after it became apparent the email was sent to all city councilors, 7 of whom are white. The invitation was meant only for the city's 6 councilors of color. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.